England's history begins more than 800,000 years ago, when early humans first reached the region that would one day become one of the most influential nations on Earth. After the last ice age ended around 12,000 BC, the warming climate allowed hunter-gatherers to move across the land bridge known as Doggerland, which connected Britain to continental Europe. By 4000 BC, early farming communities settled permanently, building remarkable Neolithic monuments such as Stonehenge and Avebury. These structures align with solar cycles and reveal a sophisticated understanding of engineering and astronomy. Over the next millennia, Bronze Age and Iron Age Celtic tribes developed hill forts, metalworking, and complex tribal societies. This was prehistoric England before any written record. In 43 AD, the Roman Empire invaded under Emperor Claudius, establishing the province of Britannia. Roman rule transformed the region. They built roads, baths, amphitheaters, and new towns such as Londinium, Eboracum, and Aquae Sulis. Trade expanded, written records appeared, and Roman culture mixed with local Celtic traditions. To protect their northern frontier, the Romans built Hadrian's Wall, a massive fortification that still stands today. But as the Roman Empire weakened, troops were withdrawn, and by 410 AD, Roman Britain collapsed, leaving the island vulnerable to new waves of migration and invasion. After Rome's departure, Germanic tribes known as the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes migrated to Britain, establishing the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. These kingdoms, Northumbria, Mercia, East Anglia, Essex, Kent, Sussex, and Wessex, became known as the Heptarchy. Anglo-Saxons built the foundations of English language, law, and rural society. Christianity spread after the arrival of St. Augustine in 597, blending with existing traditions. By the 8th and 9th centuries, Viking raids devastated the coasts and inland settlements. The Vikings established the Danelaw in northern and eastern England, imposing their own laws and customs. Resistance came from Alfred the Great, King of Wessex, who reorganized military defenses and promoted learning. Under Alfred and his successors, the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms gradually unified into a single kingdom of England. In 1016, the Danish king Knut the Great conquered England and ruled a North Sea empire. But after his sons died, the Anglo-Saxon House of Wessex returned to power. This stability did not last. When Edward the Confessor died childless in 1066, a succession crisis erupted. Harold Godwinson claimed the throne, but William, Duke of Normandy, invaded, believing he had a rightful claim. On October 14, 1066, at the Battle of Hastings, Harold was killed and William became William the Conqueror. Norman rule completely reshaped England, introducing feudalism, replacing the Anglo-Saxon nobility with Norman lords, building great stone castles like the Tower of London, and commissioning the Domesday Book, a detailed survey of the kingdom's wealth. The English language itself began to change under the influence of Norman French. During the medieval period, the Plantagenet dynasty rose with Henry II, who strengthened royal justice and laid the foundations of common law. His reign and those of his sons, Richard the Lionheart and King John, were marked by conflict and change. In 1215, rebellion forced King John to sign the Magna Carta, limiting the monarchy's power and establishing principles of rights that influenced later democracies. England expanded its territories and fought repeated wars with France, culminating in the Hundred Years' War from 1337 to 1453. Although English armies won major battles under leaders like Edward the Black Prince and Henry V, England eventually lost most of its lands in France. Meanwhile, the Black Death arrived in 1348, killing nearly half of England's population and accelerating the decline of feudalism. In the 15th century, England was torn apart by the Wars of the Roses between the houses of York and Lancaster. The conflict ended in 1485, when Henry Tudor defeated Richard III at Bosworth Field and became Henry VII, beginning the Tudor dynasty. The Tudor era brought religious and political transformation. Henry VII restored stability, but it was his son Henry VIII who dramatically changed England by breaking from the Roman Catholic Church and creating the Church of England. His dissolution of the monasteries transferred enormous wealth to the crown and reshaped religious life. Henry's successors continued religious shifts. Edward VI pushed Protestant reforms, Mary I attempted to restore Catholicism, and Elizabeth I established a lasting Protestant settlement. Elizabeth's reign saw cultural flourishing with figures like William Shakespeare, the defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588, and the beginnings of English overseas colonization. After Elizabeth died without an heir, the crown passed to the Scottish Stuarts. James I and Charles I faced growing tensions with Parliament over